Ever since I was a younger Halo player, one thing I really enjoyed doing was breaking out of maps or just going places where maybe we weren't originally intended to go when playing through Halo games. I mean, who else just drove all the way out into the ocean on Silent Cartographer back in the day? But with so many secrets hidden throughout the Halo franchise as a whole, perhaps there's a lot of other little secrets out there hidden away in the depths of the ocean waters of the Halo universe. But before we jump into it, we have to ask you a very important question. What if the Master Chief and the Arbiter decided that they wanted to open up their own scuba diving classes on one of the Halo rings? They'd probably need a good looking website to draw in a customer base, and they most likely would use Squarespace. Squarespace is definitely the #1 source when you're looking to build a great and professional looking website that has all the tools you need, and they did us the solid of sponsoring this video as well, so make sure you guys stay tuned to the end of the video where we'll talk about this a bit more. So starting things off on our deep sea adventure, trying to see what is out there, our friend Tepig from the #1 French community, Halo Creation, helped us out on some of these. Specifically, this one on Exodus that is really unique. Now, we've talked about Exodus as a whole on the out-of-map glitches we've done in the past, and as it turns out, if you manipulate different pelicans in different places, you can actually use the pelican as a tool to break boundaries and reach areas in the level Exodus that you're typically not supposed to get to. For instance, in this section, we were able to get completely under the ocean in that typical back area of Exodus you usually aren't even supposed to get to anyways, and it was kind of fun running around below the ocean there. We found this random tree just out here chilling in the water for whatever reason. But then if you go to the end island of the level and yeet a warthog that has a marine in it by throwing grenades with cowbell and tilt on, and you make sure he survives somewhere across on the other side of the map, you can then push a little bit forward in the level and utilize armor lock while on top of a pelican to break past a barrier and land over on that side of the water that you typically can't go to. We then respawned on Tepig after he pulled the glitch off for us, and honestly, this section alone was really interesting. I know we're not underwater just yet, but it was really cool just to look around at this area that definitely was giving us some Modern Warfare 2 vibes of the level terminal. Then we were able to go and use the warthog to drive up and over another area, which then allowed us to drive into the water, and we had free reign to literally go wherever we wanted. We drove around, we saw these banshees that were just down here, which was kind of funny. There's a lot of really cool things you can see while you're driving around under the map. The water mechanics are really bizarre in Reach, and sometimes we would kind of just pop a random wheelie and it'd be really hard to come down, and visibility is limited at best. But this one was really fun just because of the scope of where you get to go around, and it was something that we thought was really cool and something we wanted to show on this channel. On the level Regret, we've talked about this level a tiny bit in the past, but there is the elevator glitch that is very popular that you can do by pushing over crates from the underwater section of the level and blocking the elevator so that when a loading sequence happens, you're on top of the elevator and you essentially have free reign to explore the underwater section of the level. This one was one we've done in the past, and we always have fun just looking around, and on new graphics it's very interesting just because of the attention to detail that was put into this area. But the one we found more recently was really fun to do throughout the level Regret. Essentially, if you pop on the Feather Skull and maybe throw Sputnik and Boom Skull on as well while you're at it, you can jump out of the opening area of the level and make your way back to where the level Delta Halo kind of takes place and jump up onto the mountain. From there, we traveled down and made our way to the lowest section where the mountain meets the water, and at that point you can actually just go directly underwater and have free reign to the entire level of Regret, but underwater instead. I can't believe it took me until just a couple of days ago to actually discover this glitch. I guess I just never thought about trying it out, but it was really cool to see. I'm sure a lot of people have found this long before us, but it was exciting and new to us, okay? Interestingly enough, we actually noticed that you can see the elevator opening where the first elevator comes out of typically, and if you grenade jump, you can actually launch yourself into the elevator shaft. However, there's not much you can actually do once you're in there, and you likely fall to your death, so it's not one you want to probably spend too much time on, but it's cool nonetheless that it is there. If you journey all the way back to where the final gondola ride is, you can actually see on new graphics the cave entrance, and if you make your way on top of the mountain and you're on new graphics, you can actually see the whole area leading up to the gondola section, but on old graphics, it's just completely caved over with a cliff. And this was really bizarre. Obviously, there's something weird going on with the loadings and how this level processes the loadings and chooses when to have this mountain wall covering up this area and when not to. But it was kind of funny that we were stuck just above this area of the level on new graphics, but old graphics definitely said otherwise. Then, just out of curiosity, we made our way over to the final area where you typically face off against Regret. And since we had the feather skull on with all those other skulls, we actually found that we could in fact grenade jump from the ground and make our way up one of the legs of the building. And fortunately enough, it's just not too steep where you can walk up far enough along, then do a grenade jump to a lower level. And since I was doing this with Luke, we were able to just spawn on each other and make sure we had multiple chances of trying these jumps without dying. And it was funny because when we made our way around to the front of the building, it's all just walled off because it hasn't actually hit the loading sequence that gives you access to the inside of the building yet. We were somewhat hopeful that maybe we had discovered a shortcut on this level that no one else had known about that you can only do with the feather skull. We were wrong. But out of curiosity, we did climb up to the top of the building, and in new graphics, you can look inside of the building and see the water and the rest of the stuff there. We thought it'd be funny if we just saw Regret chilling in there. It didn't happen that way, but nonetheless, it was fun to make our way up here. And then finally, we decided to make our way back around the cliff, going to the beginning of the Delta Halo level, which was really interesting because Delta Halo isn't even technically a part of this level, though when they were building both of these levels, they obviously used one canvas and then changed the loading sequences on both of them. But if you go all the way back to where you start off in Delta Halo, where the ODST drop typically comes in, you can actually go into the lake back there and just do whatever you want. It's interesting seeing the whole area without foliage or any of the other stuff that typically loads in, but you can more or less tell where everything in Delta Halo is. But this time you get to go underwater, and that's kind of neat as well. We also decided to load Delta Halo up and do the same thing but in reverse, where instead we went forward to where Regret typically would take place, and sure enough, we were able to go underwater again and explore a lot of different areas under the water. Turns out the elevator shaft is still there even on the level Delta Halo, but definitely one of the most interesting things is this random box that's just floating above the water. We don't really know what purpose it serves or why it's there. We tried to get on top of it, it was too difficult, but if you know why that box is there, please let us know. It's on both old and new graphics. Going back forward to Halo Reach on the level Long Night of Solace, if you do a glitch with the Pelican to get up on top of it and then armor lock to break past a barrier, you actually have full access to the underwater section. And while there's not too much going on, it is kind of interesting that you can just walk away from the base and see the base in a distance, but know you're underwater at the same time while on a different level. And that was kind of neat. In Halo 2 on the level Metropolis, Luke and I finally made our way up to where the Scarab gun is. And since we had a Banshee, I found that if I just flew out of the map and wrapped back around, I could actually get underneath the water of the canal, and it gives you access to this huge underwater section that you can kind of just walk around and look around and feel out. And it is really interesting that you can go down here and not necessarily get instantly killed. Now, while these are some of our favorite glitches that we've looked at, there's also some really interesting underwater sequences across the Halo games as well. On the Great Journey, this is one that a lot of people have probably utilized in the past, and while it's not so much a glitch, it definitely leads to a lot of possible glitches, but you can in fact drive a Spectre under the water, and technically it's not intended that you drive a Spectre under the water, but there's so many different opportunities you can have, and they've even hid Easter eggs up there for the people that do that why not drive a Spectre under the water, drive it up the cliffs, and kind of get to look around. It is interesting how there's a difference between old and new graphics when driving around on the Great Journey in the water, but I'm usually so hyper focused on trying to find the way to do the glitch, I never really just took a moment to explore while I was out here, and it's kind of cool. For instance, in Keys from Halo Combat Evolved, you have this green water goop thing that's there that plays this mechanic in the level, and it was always just fun getting kind of lost in there and trying to figure out what you're trying to do and where you are in the grand scheme of everything. There's a lot of glitches you can do to get out of the map here as well and explore, but we did just want to kind of take a nod to the green waters of Keys as well. On Halo 3, there's some limitations of the underwater sections in the campaign levels. You can get a little bit under the water in the Covenant, and having the Acrophobia skull does make it a little bit easier to explore the underwater sequences. Sierra 117 was known for having a pretty large underwater section as well, where the Pelicans get taken out by those Banshees that fly fast and low, and then the one gets hit and then they scream, and you know how it goes. But yeah, it's always kind of fun to just walk around in the water while you're at it. But also in Halo 3, if you go to the level Longshore or High Ground, there's always these underwater things that you're able to manipulate in Forge mode, and there's been some fun custom games that take place underwater. Halo Reach was known for that as well with Forge World, world, being able to throw a grid under the water too. Halo 5 Guardians has this whole canvas that's underwater, which is a really neat aesthetic, and Halo 4 has this puddle, so there's that. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. As we said earlier, Squarespace is literally the best website building and hosting service that's out there. They have a ton of features provided in one really easy to use online tool. Websites definitely need to always look clean and feel interactive so that visitors have an easy time navigating and getting to where they want to get. And Squarespace has a ton of different designs, with each of them being unique while also offering that clean and interactive feeling. They have tools for any type of website with a lot of things that can really help make the process of running and managing a site so much easier. Being able to do things like schedule posts or reply to comments if you're running something like a blog is really useful, or if you need to have access to things like inventory management and bookkeeping, there's extensions for that, which is really useful if you're running an online shop, for example. Also, real quick, Squarespace has one of the best analytics tool integrated in their online platform. You can see exactly where traffic is coming from, what kind of content or parts of the website people visit the most, and you get all of that data that you need to make sure you're really getting the most out of your website's traffic along the way. But now, if you want to stand out fully with your website, you'll also need a unique domain, and Squarespace either lets you bring your already owned domain or lets you purchase a domain directly through them, making it really easy to use. And if you want to actually save on your first purchase of a website or domain, you can actually head over to squarespace.com/rocketsloth and get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain using code rocketsloth. Now, Squarespace has been great to us for quite some time now, so if you've been on the fence about finally starting and getting your own website set up, now's the perfect time, because not only are you supporting our channel by working with brands that help us out like Squarespace, but Squarespace definitely will make it really easy to get started with your project. But hey, after all of that, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe with notifications on for more videos just like this one, and you won't miss anything we upload, even if YouTube's acting all whack. Also, if you want to, you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at Rocket Elijah, or you can follow Luke at Rocket Sloth Luke. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time with a brand new video. Bye, guys.